Hello and welcome to Narayana's Academy. As part of our daily news analysis, we are going to deal with the most important articles from The Hindu and Indian Express. And today, I've chosen four important articles. All the four are from The Hindu, and all these are very relevant for your upcoming examination. Okay, so before we start with our daily news analysis, here is a quote for you. The harder you work for something, the greater you will feel when you achieve it. So even if right now you're feeling that you are not in a position to handle the stress, handle the problems or obstacles that are coming up, you have to put your all the efforts. You have to work hard, because as hard you work, the final success will also feel that you have done that, you have achieved something really great. Okay, so with this quote, let's move ahead. Now here we have a notification from Narayana's Academy that 1 year and 2 year courses with this institute are going on. You can take the admissions if you're looking for a course for next year admission or 2026 examination. Then you can go for this 1 year, and otherwise you can go for this 2 year course. The details of the course are given on the website. You'll be getting that QR code. You can use that also. All these details are also mentioned over here. Okay. Now, I've chosen four articles. First article is one of the most important news, I would say, and a very major development in our polity or constitution part. Supreme Court has reprimanded or pulled on Tamil Nadu Governor. So there's a very interesting case wherein when state assembly passes a bill, that bill reaches to governor, and many a times governors do not do any kind of action. They neither sign that bill nor they return it. They just sit on the bill. They're using some kind of a veto which we call as pocket veto. And this is the case with respect to Tamil Nadu Governor, on which Supreme Court has given an important judgment. So very important article for your prelims as well as mains examination. Then second article is related to the genome study. So you should know about the genome sequencing, and there is a special project which is going on in India for studying the genome of Indians. So this is a very important article from science and technology perspective. Third article is related to Mudra Yojana. So Prime Minister Modi says 52 crore loans were given under Mudra Yojana. We should know what this scheme is all about. And the last article, this is the editorial, a regional revival. This one is about BIMSTEC, and BIMSTEC is a very important regional partnership. We should know all the factual part related to BIMSTEC, and we should understand the importance from international relations perspective. So these are the major four articles we are going to discuss. So let's start with the first article. Now this one is important for you for prelims as well as mains GS paper 2, functions and responsibilities of the union and states. And what we need to study is pocket veto, governor's power and constitutional deadlock. Now why this question becomes important, why this article becomes important, you can look at this previous year question asked in the year 2018. Whether Supreme Court judgment of July 2018 can settle the political tussle between Lieutenant Governor and elected government of Delhi, examine. Now if you observe the trend, many a times in the mains examination, UPSC has directly asked questions related to governor or the tussle between governor and the state government or state assembly. Because we have a federal form of government. We have different levels of government, central government, state government, and there is a major role played by governor. So we see such questions being asked many times in the exam. That's why even this article becomes highly important. Okay. Now, to understand what has happened recently, you need to know what was happening till now. So, if you see the trend since 2021 to 2023, we have observed a trend from Tamil Nadu that the State Assembly of Tamil Nadu was passing some bills. Now, some of the bills could be related to university or education or anything. They passed some of the bills in the assembly with the clear-cut majority. Now after that, the bill reaches to the governor, and governor is supposed to either assent, give his assent to the bill, that means sign the bill, or withhold the assent, that means you are rejecting. You can reject that, no, this is not the right bill, you are withholding the assent. Third option you have is you can return the bill. You can return the bill to the assembly saying that I feel that there is some problem with this bill, please recheck, please reconsider. This option is also available with the governor. Now there is an exception that in case of money bill this will not happen. In case of money bill, governor cannot return the bill to the assembly saying that you have to reconsider. But for any other bill which is not money bill, you can certainly send for the consideration of assembly. Okay. And the fourth option that is available with the governor is to reserve this bill for the consideration of president. That means governor can send this bill to the president. President will consider what to do with this bill. Okay. These four options are available, and these are the options available as they are mentioned exactly in the article 200 of the Constitution of India. Okay, so this is the constitutional mechanism provided for providing assent to the bill. Now here you see, if in case governor returns the bill to the assembly, now the assembly can reconsider it, and in case the assembly passes the same bill, whether adding some amendment or removing something or just as it is, if they pass the bill again, that is second time, and then the bill reaches to the governor, in that case it is mandatory on the governor's side to sign it, to give the assent over here, and here they are not having the chance to go against it. Okay. Now why such thing is given? Why such thing is given? Because we have a governance model, or we have a political system which we call as parliamentary democratic model or parliamentary democracy. So we say that whatever laws are being made, they will be made by our representatives, our parliamentarians, or in case of state assembly, our MLAs. It's not the governor who is going to decide, because governor is not an elected head. The elected people are those whom we have brought in the government, brought in the state assembly. That's the reason such mechanisms have been provided. Okay. Now you see, this is mentioned in Article 200. Okay. And let's say in case the bill has been reserved for president, then under Article 201, it is the power of the president whether to give assent to this bill or cancel it out or just withhold assent. President can sign it or cancel it out also. That's the power of the president. Okay. You understand the power of governor, you understand the power of president. Now come back. What's the issue? I'm saying in last few years, or in 2021 to 2023, Tamil Nadu State Assembly passed some of the bills. Now after passing, they reached to the governor, but governor did not take any action. So there were total 10 bills, and what governor did? Actually governor did nothing. Neither gave assent, nor withhold assent, nor returned the bill, nor reserved the bill. So constitutionally, governor was supposed to do at least any one of these four. He did nothing. Now, when the assembly saw that the governor is not doing anything, or the state government saw that governor is not taking any action, now this is something we call as pocket veto. What is pocket veto? What is veto? When you have the power to reject something, you have the power to say no to anything. If a bill is passed, you say no. That is veto. Pocket veto means you're keeping your hands in the pocket and saying, I'm not going to sign. Or you're not saying anything. You're saying, I'll sign, but you're not doing anything. Now, this is something called pocket veto, or absolute kind of veto that you have. So whatever governor was doing, state assembly or state government saw it as pocket veto. Okay? And state government felt that this is something unconstitutional. Now, after this event, what the state assembly did? They repassed all the 10 bills again in a special session in their state assembly. Now this is something interesting because usually we see this repassing of bill only when the governor sends back the bill saying that there are some problems with this bill. After that, the state assembly reconsiders and repasses. But here that thing never happened because governor took no action and then assembly passed all those 10 bills again. When did this pass it? November 2023. Okay. Now after this, interestingly, when they passed the bill, now again those bills reached to the governor. Now this time governor took an action. What governor did? Neither he gave assent, nor he withheld assent, nor he returned the bill. This time governor reserved all these 10 bills for president consideration. That means he sent all these bills to the president. Now somewhere we see that the process that was mentioned in the constitution or the loopholes that are present over here are being used, or somehow we can say they are being misused by the governors. It is very clearly observable. Okay. So after this matter went to Supreme Court. So Supreme Court also observed that something wrong is going on. So recently we see a judgment from the Supreme Court side saying that whatever governor has done in this particular situation or in this case of Tamil Nadu, this action is completely unconstitutional. The governor is supposed to adhere to constitutional morality, and here we don't see that. Okay, that's why we are saying this judgment is very interesting and very powerful. Now see, because such issues can come many a times, because governor is someone who is appointed by the central government. Center has some power. Now there is a possibility that in center we have a different political party, and in state we have a different political party. In case of Tamil Nadu we see this, and we see the tensions between two different political parties getting into the constitutional problems or constitutional deadlocks. Okay, so here you see we had some committees. For example, we have this Sarkaria Commission 1988. In that they had recommended that governor should act on the aid and advice of the council of ministers. That means simply the state government, whatever they say, you should listen to them, and you should not behave in a way that you will go for pocket veto, you'll not sign something, you're going against them. You should not do that. This is what is being suggested by Sarkaria Commission. Okay, again they also said that president's rule or political interference through governors should be rare and well reasoned. Now why Tamil Nadu governments or Tamil Nadu state assemblies bills were not being passed? The reason becomes the political interference by the other party which is there in the center, which is ruling through the governor. And this is where we see political interference in the constitutional processes. Now we have another commission called Punchi Commission. They had suggested that there should be a time limit for the governor to decide on the bills. Now this is something very interesting. Constitution does not mention any timeline as such for governor to take any action. We said that governor can do any of these four things. But in how many days or how many months, nothing is mentioned. Constitution does not talk about time limit as such. It just says as soon as possible you should do it. And this as soon as possible is being misused by the authorities, whimsically we can say. Now apart from those commissions, we have some cases from Supreme Court which also show that they're talking about governor and they expect governor to act in a way which is equivalent to adhering to the constitutional morality. That means you should use your morality, constitutional morality, rather than listening to the political bosses. Now here you see we have a case called Shamsher Singh versus State of Punjab 1974. It says governor must act on the aid and advice of the council of ministers. Same line as given by the Sarkaria Commission. Then Nabam Rabia versus Deputy Speaker 2016. Governor's discretionary power is limited and it must respect the majority in the assembly. Now in the Nabam Rabia case, it is very clear that Supreme Court is saying that governor has got some discretionary powers under constitution, but you should not you should not be having any absolute power. Constitution does not provide you absolute powers. You have to respect the decision made by the popular majority or the state assembly. Okay. And third, Rameshwar Prasad versus Union of India 2006. Misuse of governor's discretion can be judicially reviewed. So if governor is taking one action which seems to be unconstitutional, which has some malified intentions, wrong intentions, in that case, judiciary can come into picture and judiciary can decide what to do with all this stuff. And this is what we see in this recent case happening, that judiciary has played an important role. Now, what is judiciary saying? There are few things judiciary has very categorically said, and you can note down all these things. You can note down because you can mention these lines directly in your answers of your mains paper. So let's say, first thing they're saying, governor cannot indefinitely delay any action. So if you read Article 200, it says that governor should take actions as soon as possible. Anything out of those four options, as soon as possible. That doesn't mean that you will delay it as long as you want to. So if you're delaying, Supreme Court can say you have to do it in a fixed timeline. This time, Supreme Court has observed it since a long time, and that's why this time Supreme Court has given a fixed timeline for the governor to take those actions. So governor had four options. For all the four options, Supreme Court has given a timeline. So let's say you want to grant or withhold the assent based on the cabinet's advice, you have 1 month time period. You want to return a bill with some reasons that there are some problems with this bill, you want to return it for the consideration of the assembly, then you have time for 3 months only. You can't keep it with yourself for more than 3 months. Similarly, there is 3 month timeline for reserving a bill and 1 month timeline for mandatory assent if it is repassed. So let's say state assembly has passed a bill again, that is second time, repassed it. In that case, now governor will be having only 1 month time period. In 1 month, governor will have to sign it or do whatever action he has to take, he has to do it in 1 month. Obviously, he has to give the assent now. Okay. This timeline is fixed by Supreme Court. Although you see, providing such timelines is not the job of Supreme Court. It's the job of legislature only. If you want to amend the constitution, make any changes in the constitution or any rule, it's the job of legislature. But here, Supreme Court has to come in. Okay. Now, there won't be any pocket veto as such with the governor. You see, there is this pocket veto, we read about it with respect to president. But president, the constitutional position of president is very different. Whatever president does, it is based on the aid and advice of the council of ministers, that is the central government. Whatever central government says, president will do that. In case of governor, this doesn't happen. In case of governor, state government is giving some kind of advice. The council of ministers at the state level, they are giving some advice to the governor, but it is not necessary that governor will listen to that, because somehow governor is also representing central government, right? He is being appointed by the central government. That's the reason this pocket veto at the stage of governor, it becomes complicated, and that's why here Supreme Court has clearly said that there won't be any absolute or pocket veto with governor as such. Okay. Then after repassage, governor cannot reserve the bill. Now this is very interesting because we said that this incident was very interesting, wherein second time when the bill was passed, that time governor put it for president's consideration. He didn't do this thing first time. Now here Supreme Court said, if you wanted to reserve it for president's consideration, you could have done that earlier. You could have done that when first time you got that bill. Now you are doing it. This shows that your intentions are not at all good. Okay. So here governor cannot reserve the bill once it is repassed. Now they have to sign it. And the duty of the governor, here specifically Supreme Court has said that governor is supposed to act as constitutional head, friend, philosopher and guide, and not a political impediment. So you're not a political person as such. You're a constitutional authority. You have to act as friend, philosopher and guide for the state government, for the central government. You are not a person who is politically allocated. Okay, you're not supposed to do any kind of political meddling or political interference as such. Okay, so all these statements, these are very important, you can note them down. Now this judgment is important, and this judgment will have some implications on our federal structure, on the overall administration and governance, and all states are going to get many good things from this, or rather they'll be happy with this judgment. So you see, firstly, for federalism, see, we have the idea of cooperative federalism in India. We expect that we have central government, we have state government, we have different state governments, all should cooperate. That cooperation should happen. If governors are behaving in this way, wherein they don't take any action, they go for pocket veto, you can't see cooperative federalism. So somewhere this judgment is reinforcing this idea of cooperative federalism. Then for the good governance, this is very important. You see, if governor is not taking any action, what will happen? This will lead to constitutional deadlock. Means nothing will happen. So everything will stop. So this is something we don't want to happen. This is constitutional deadlock. There will be policy paralysis. Nothing will happen. So we don't want such things to happen. We want continuous governance. We want good governance, and that's why this judgment is good from this aspect. Now, one aspect comes from ethical perspective, and that we call as adhering to constitutional morality. Whoever is running any office, whether you are governor or prime minister or any person, when you are in the public office, you are expected to adhere to the constitutional morality. Constitutional morality means whatever decisions you are taking, those decisions are based on your morality. That morality is based on some values. And here we are saying all those values should be derived from the constitution. When constitution says that give importance to people, give importance to justice, liberty, equality, all these ideas. Constitution itself talks about separation of power. Constitution says that you should respect each and every authority. You should respect that the bills should be passed by state assembly, and once passed, it is the responsibility of the governor to sign it. So this is important. Okay, so the idea of integrity, accountability, these are important. Our constitution talks about these things, okay, directly or indirectly. Then for judiciary executive balance also, this is important. See, when executive isn't working properly, if it is leading to some kind of constitutional deadlock, people will reach to judiciary and judiciary will have to intervene. If you want to maintain that separation of power, you have to ensure that at least your own organ works properly. If that doesn't work properly, then certainly judiciary will have to come in. Okay, so these are all the implications we see. Ethical aspect, although I have already discussed, but for you to write down in the answers, you can mention this, that here there we observe the conflict between constitutional duty and political loyalty. For governor, he can be politically loyal towards the political party who is at the center, but he can be loyal towards the constitution also. Constitutional duty is important. So here Supreme Court is saying give importance to this, not this political loyalty. Then misuse of power by reneging on constitutional oath. Every constitutional authority, he or she has taken an oath. When you go against that oath, when you get back, when you made a promise and now you're stepping back, this is something we don't like. So this goes against the ethical aspect of the constitution. Then governor's ethical obligation to uphold public trust, impartiality and rule of law. Do you think the governor was impartial in this case? It doesn't seem to be. Okay, and there is need for moral integrity. Okay, now all these aspects are there. What can we do? We want some kind of a way forward. What can we do so that we can make things more smooth and we don't see any such problems in future? First thing we can do is we can codify these timelines. So these timelines which Supreme Court has just given, 1 month, 3 months, whatever, Now it is the job of the legislature to codify it, make a law so that it becomes completely obligatory. Second, governor appointment reforms. The problem lies in the governor appointment. When governor is appointed by a political party from center, there is an obvious chance that that same person will be having political loyalty towards that party instead of being loyal towards the constitutional morality. So it's better you should have the appointment of governor in a transparent manner. So there should be an independent body, like UPSC is an independent body, similar kind of body you can have, and you should avoid any kind of political appointees. Okay, don't bring any politician over here, bring some new person. Okay, you can bring a scientist or an educationist or anybody. Then constitutional amendment. What you can do is, governor is getting lot of discretionary powers and then they are misusing it. You can do one thing, you can reduce that scope of discretionary power. So make a law, clarify, clearly mention these are the aspects in which governor has discretionary powers and these are the ones where he does not have that. So you can come up with some constitutional amendment. And fourth is legislative autonomy. Governors, now this is a message for all the governors, they should respect the democratic mandate. Democratic means what people are saying. People are saying through their representatives, that is MLAs. So whatever MLAs are saying or whatever bill they are passing, you should respect that democratic mandate. So this is the way forward, we can say, and we have covered this topic, this article very comprehensively. Okay, now let's move on to the next article. Now this one is related to genome study. You should know what is genome sequencing, Genome India project. Now this Genome India project is very important for your prelims as well as mains, more important for your prelims. And here you have a prelims question asked in the year 2021. You can read the question. I'll give you 5-10 seconds. Please read this question. Okay. Please read so that you will get an idea of what kind of questions UPSC is asking on the same topics. Done? Now the question is directly related to genome sequencing. That's the same topic we are reading over here in this article. Now I don't need to tell you that this article is highly important for exam. Okay. So what has happened? Why we are reading about it? So there is a project called Genome India project. Okay. This project was launched in the year 2019. And under this project, we are supposed to sequence 10,000 Indian genomes. Now, when we read this, we don't understand anything. And we have got some preliminary findings, some results, some initial results from the same project. But to understand what the statement is saying, we need to know what do we mean by genome first. That's the basic part. You see, all of us, if you observe any of the living being, everyone is made up of cells. Okay, so if you zoom in, if you see your hand, if you zoom, you'll see that everything, your entire hand is made up of different cells. If you look at each single cell, that cell has a nucleus. This nucleus, this is the cell, it has a nucleus. In that nucleus, there is DNA. Now, DNA is something everyone knows, or at least you must have heard about. DNA is something in which all the information about your body is stored, about yourself is stored. Let's say your hair are black. You give birth to a child. That child's hair will be black or brown or white or whatever. That will be decided by the DNA. In the DNA, all those instructions, all those informations are stored. All those instructions, as in how will be your growth, whether you will be tall or short, what kind of person you will become, your body parts, everything, how you will look, everything will be mentioned. All those instructions are present in the DNA. Okay. Now, when you look at this DNA, where is it present? So you see, this is the nucleus. In this nucleus, we see somewhat this kind of a structure. We call this chromosome. So there are total 46 chromosomes in human beings. This number could be different for different animals, and they are in pairs. So in one pair there will be 2 chromosomes. So total there are 23 pairs. Okay. Now just look at one of that. This is the one. This is one chromosome. This entire one chromosome is made up of DNA. DNA, you can see this image, if you can see, this image is of DNA. It's a very long kind of a structure that is present over here. I am saying in this DNA, all your instructions are present. Okay, this is clear. Now, if you zoom in this DNA, if you zoom in this structure, you will observe that there is a line, or we call it as nucleotide bases. There are 4 nucleotide bases, or there are 4 kind of chemicals which are present over here in this DNA. That means this DNA is made up of different kind of nucleotide bases. So the names are adenine, cytosine, guanine and thymine. Adenine, cytosine, guanine, thymine. So continuously your entire structure will be made in such a way. Let's say there will be one adenine, then let's say thymine, then we have cytosine, then we have guanine. Okay, then again this, again this. So likewise a long chain will be built. Now the order of these ATCG could be different for different people, could be different in your body. So this sequence is not really necessarily same with everyone. The sequence could be different. But entire DNA will be made up of this kind of sequence. Okay, and if you take one segment, let's say there is a long chain, you take one segment out of it, we call that segment as your gene. Okay, that segment is your gene. Now this much basic information we should know. Now you see, we have this ATCG, the long chain, but we don't know the sequence. It's there in my body, it's there in your body. The order in my body is different, order in your body is different, right? Now what scientists are doing, they are going for a process wherein they want to know the exact order of these nucleotide bases ATCG. That means they'll check in your body what is the exact order of these nucleotide bases. That means they will completely understand your DNA. They'll understand how is your DNA exactly written, what are instructions, what kind of instructions are there, how it is exactly mentioned. They'll get the complete order. Once they get this complete order, they can understand many things about you. So let's say in future you might get a disease, or let's say you already have a genetic disease, they'll understand that disease better. If they want to make a drug, a medicine to tackle that particular disease, they can make it very easily because they know completely what kind of sequence, genomic sequence you are having. Okay. So when scientists go for this process and they complete it, they completely write down at one place your genome sequence, we call it genome sequencing. Okay. So this all ATCG, all this part, this is your genome. All those instructions that are present in your body, collection of that at one place is your genome. When you sequence it, that is called as genome sequencing. Okay. Now this will be helpful in biomedical research. Let's say you want to identify any genetic disease. In pharmacogenomics, let's say you want to come up with a new drug, so you can do that prediction, right? Then agricultural genomics, let's say you have some crops and you want to make them resistant towards some kind of diseases, then you can go for these genes, you can understand. You can go for evolutionary biology. So you see, there is hell lot of genetic diversity in the world. There are so many different types of animals, species, etc. So you can understand this diversity better. And then you can go for conservation biology. That means if you want to protect any species, let's say there are some endangered species, you want to preserve them. If you know this exact order of nucleotides, you can do this task better. Okay, so everything is possible with genome sequencing. Now see, in the year 1990, one project was launched, Human Genome Project. Now this is an international project. Okay, so the world community thought that we will do genome sequencing of all the human beings. All human beings, that means they won't be taking the sample from each and every person, but they decided that we'll take some samples from European countries, some from the Australia, some from India, likewise from all the countries around the world. We'll take some samples and then we'll go for genome sequencing. So this is very helpful. Let's say the world comes up with a vaccine. When you are making the vaccine, and if you know the genomes of every kind of person, then your vaccine will be very effective towards every person. But this doesn't happen usually. Let's say you made Covishield or Covaxin at the time of COVID. That is not effective for every person. For Indian population, it might not be that effective, but for Europeans, it might be effective. So when you go for all those studies, it's better to have all this data of genome sequencing. If you have genome sequenced and you have data from different variety of people, then you can do lot of stuffs, right? So this project was important. This is the major project. Now after this project, Indian government thought that we should also do something. So we had this Indian Genome Variation Consortium. Now this was the first major effort from our side. Okay, I see there was a technical issue. So I'm saying this was the project which came after this one in 2009. But this was just first effort from Indian side. Later on we brought this Genome India project, which is the major project we can say. Okay. And after this we see parallelly CSIR came up with Indigen project. So these are the two main projects which are being run at this moment. And here we are talking about Genome India project specifically. Okay, here we said that we are going to sequence 10,000 Indian genomes. Okay, through this we'll understand Indian population better. Now, recently we got some results from the Genome India project, which has identified 180 million genetic variants from these 10,000 individuals. Now, this information clearly shows that when you look at Indian population, we have a lot of variety in Indians. So India's genetic diversity is very unique. Okay, and this enables us to go for disease prediction, and we can make precision medicine. Exactly, we can make medicine which is precisely made for Indian population, considering this diversity. Okay, so whatever I have discussed here as the application part, all that is important. All that will be done through this Genome India project, but you should simply understand why this key finding is important. Okay, now we have the third article of the day, that is about Mudra Yojana. So I said this Mudra Yojana, you should know what is this scheme all about, and this is about your financial inclusion. This is important for prelims as well as mains somewhere, because financial inclusion becomes part of your GS3 mains paper. So you should have a brief idea about it. You can read this previous year question asked in the year 2016 directly on Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. What is the aim of this scheme? Right? So such an easy question can directly be asked. You can now answer it once you see what the scheme is all about. Now see, the context is this Mudra Yojana has completed 10 years, as it has completed 10 years, we want to know about this scheme specifically. It was launched in the year 2015 by Ministry of Finance. And the scheme, whatever stuff is happening over here, that is managed by this National Credit Guarantee Trustee Company Limited. Now see what happens. In India, we have some people who require loan, but loan of very small amount. We say there are some small businessmen, there's a shopkeeper, there's a street vendor who requires some kind of a loan, a very small loan, but they don't have any collaterals. They don't have something to show, some kind of property to give to the bank, or some kind of documents to mortgage. So here we are saying we can provide you with loan. You don't need to mortgage anything, you don't need to provide any kind of collaterals as such. Government is going to provide you with the loan. This loan is up to 10 lakh rupees. So here we have actually three different schemes involved. Mudra loan is of three types. One is Shishu, Kishore, Tarun. Shishu means loan will be given up till 50,000 rupees. Kishore means from 50,000 till 5 lakh rupees. And then 5 lakh to 10 lakh rupees under Tarun. So these are the three types under Mudra loan. Okay. And who will be eligible? Almost everyone is eligible over here. Any Indian citizen, including women, proprietary concern, partnership firm, private limited company, any other entity who is eligible to avail of a loan and has a business plan for income generating activity. So simply it shows anyone who has some plan for some kind of business, they require loan. In that case, we are helping out. And here we are not talking about a big loan as such. This is about small kind of a loan. Now, if you see the term Mudra, it means Micro Units Development and Refinance Agency Limited. Now here we have this agency who is playing the role of refinancing. That means it's not like you will go to Mudra and you will ask for a loan and they will give it to you. No, you will take the same loan but from the commercial banks. Now those banks, commercial banks, or rather than commercial banks, I'm sorry, not commercial banks, rather we have these non-banking finance companies, microfinance institutions, societies, trusts, or small finance banks, regional rural banks. All these banks are there, or non-banking institutions are there. You'll reach out to them, you'll take the loan from them, and these institutions will be financed by Mudra. Okay, so you are not directly dealing with Mudra, you will deal with them in an indirect manner. So that's why we call this process as refinance support that is being provided. Okay, so you should know about Mudra scheme. And Mudra scheme is important because if you see the data, more than 60 to 70% of the loans have been given to women. Now this shows that some kind of financial inclusion is also taking place over here. Okay, now the next article is related to BIMSTEC Summit. The BIMSTEC Summit provided a platform for bilateral meetings. You should know about BIMSTEC. Very important for prelims, important for mains also, for your bilateral groupings or groupings at the local level or regional groupings we can say. Now read this 2022 mains question. You'll get an idea that how BIMSTEC is an important topic. Please read. I'll give you 5 seconds. Done? So directly the question is on BIMSTEC. Okay. In the mains, many a times UPSC asks questions on the same topic which is asked in the mains in the prelims also. So you should know this trend and you should know about BIMSTEC as an organization and the 6th BIMSTEC summit which has taken place recently in Bangkok. Now first of all, what do we mean by BIMSTEC? It's a very difficult name it seems. BIMSTEC means Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation. Such a long name. Simply it means there are some countries who are going to cooperate on different sectors. Many sectors will be there and we are going to cooperate. That's why multi-sectoral, technical and economic cooperation. So technical cooperation will be there, economic cooperation will be there. Okay. Now here the term Bay of Bengal is coming into picture because the countries which are involved over here who are part of this BIMSTEC initiative, they are located in the vicinity of Bay of Bengal. So if I list down the countries, we have these countries: Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Thailand and Myanmar. All these countries are located in the Bay of Bengal region, or they share the boundary with Bay of Bengal. That's why the name is BIMSTEC. Now why this BIMSTEC is important for us? You see, we have South Asia and Southeast Asia which is combining over here. When you see these countries like India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan or Bangladesh, they are part of South Asia, and Thailand and Myanmar, they are part of Southeast Asia. So we can connect these two regions through this BIMSTEC. Okay. Then we have a shared geography, as I said, all are littoral states. Littorals means they share boundary with a sea, or with a with what we call as Bay of Bengal, and it covers 22% of the world's population overall. So it's a very big group, we can say. Its combined GDP is somewhere around 3.7 trillion US dollars. And this platform is important for economic, technical and security cooperation. Now one important part comes up with respect to Pakistan. Whenever we are cooperating in our neighborhood, we are concerned about Pakistan's policies. So we have something called SARC, in which many of these countries are present. Let's say this Bangladesh is there, Bhutan is there, Nepal is there, but SARC does not work properly because of Pakistan's interference or India-Pakistan relations. Now India looks at BIMSTEC as one of the alternatives of SARC, that there is no Pakistan over here, right? That is one dimension. Now what all do we focus on this? We focus on connectivity part, physical connectivity, digital connectivity, climate resilience and disaster management, maritime security, energy cooperation, trade facilitation. All these aspects will be focused by BIMSTEC. And what is India's role? First of all, reviving regionalism without Pakistan, as I've already discussed. Connecting our Northeast to the Southeast Asia. See, we have our Act East policy. We have to focus on our Northeast area also. We want to develop that Northeast area. So when we have countries like Myanmar and Thailand over here, so somehow we can focus on our Northeast area's development. Then there is security cooperation. So many a times meeting takes place in BIMSTEC with the NSAs. So National Security Advisor from India or other countries, they will come together and they'll go for some meeting for security cooperation. Then cooperation in terms of trade, in economic aspects also go on. We talk about FTA also, free trade agreement. And there is people to people cooperation. There is cultural exchange which is taking place in this BIMSTEC. Okay, so overall we see that BIMSTEC is highly important. Okay, now moving ahead, let's discuss some of the questions. The mains practice question we have. So you can please read this question. Discuss the constitutional and ethical implications of Supreme Court's 2024 judgment on the governor's delay. In assent to bills, how does it strengthen federalism and good governance in India? I'm sorry, it should be 2025 and not 2024. Okay, so recent judgment you can say. So how does it affect? How does it, how does it strengthen federalism and good governance? This you have to talk about. First of all, just talk about this particular judgment. What is this exact judgment in the introduction? Later on in the body part, you can talk about the constitutional implications. Let's say you can talk about this pocket veto which is being prohibited by Supreme Court. You can talk about ethical implications. So we have discussed in detail the constitutional morality aspect, accountability aspect, impartiality aspect. All this will be there. Then how does it strengthen federalism? Well, somewhere we are bringing cooperative federalism over here. So that you can mention the democratic will of the state legislature, that will be respected over here. And then promoting good governance. So there won't be any kind of delays in the administration. This is how you can say. And you can say in the end as conclusion that this judgment is going to be very important and this is protecting India's federal structure and constitutional ethos. Okay. Now, prelims practice questions from the yesterday's articles or yesterday's daily news analysis. This was very easy question. 1997 restatement of values of judicial life. It was adopted in a full court meeting of the Supreme Court. Yes. It is a legally binding code of conduct. Now, this is very interesting. It is not legally binding. It's a code of conduct, right? There is a voluntary process over here. It is not legally binding. Third statement provides requiring judges to declare their assets to the Chief Justice. That's true. So 1 and 3 is the right answer over here. Then next question. India enacted the GI of Goods Registration and Protection Act 1999 in order to comply with the obligations to ILO, IMF, UNCTAD or WTO. Common sense WTO. Right? Very easy question, and similar questions are asked by UPSC also. Which of the following organizations publishes Future of Jobs report? We discussed this yesterday. I guess the answer is World Economic Forum, right? Now, questions for your practice from today's articles. I'm not going to give you any answer today. You'll get the answers tomorrow. But today, if you want to attempt, please go for the link which is provided in the description box. You can directly attempt these questions and you'll get the answers directly. So you can pause the screen and read this question. Okay, first question related to our genome and genome sequencing. Okay. Second question, I guess it has been repeated over here. Okay, second is on BIMSTEC. So Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation. A factual question, very easy question. You can pause and attempt it. You can directly put in the comment box also. You can go for the website link also. Okay, so these are the questions for you for today's daily news analysis. We'll meet in the next session. Thank you so much for joining.